Hello everyone and welcome to my Stamina DK PVE DPS build. Let's get right into it. So we're sitting at 17,500 max health, 35,700 max stamina, almost 3k weapon damage, and 57.4% weapon critical. I am a red guard on this build, however I do recommend highly being a Khajiit. Khajiit do a lot more damage, but red guard sustain is really strong, especially if you want to play in PvP at times as well. We're using the Shadow and the Thief Munda Stones from our Twiceborn Star passive. And we're using the max health and max stamina food as well. For our buff, we're using our Essence of Weapon Power Potions, Major Brutality, Major Savagery, and Major Endurance. I highly recommend running Weapon Power Pots. Don't use self buffs, otherwise you're losing a ton of damage. This is almost a must-have in Trials. For our main 5-piece in gear, we're running the Twiceborn Star. This is always a really strong set. Again, using the Thief and the Shadow Munda Stone with Warhorn uptime. It's very strong. We're running all medium, all divines on our main 5-piece. Our monster set is again the Krogs. It's really strong. The 1-piece 2k physical penetration is absolutely OP, so make sure you run that. Again, both medium, both divines. Now, the substitute for these sets, you can run Leviathan. The only problem with Leviathan is it's very strong, especially in Trials, because of all the weapon crit passives. However, you're going to be sitting at lower than 17k max health. It's actually going to be at 16k, so it's very risky. It will probably cause you to die a few times, but if you feel very comfortable and your survivability is excellent, and you're not doing any hard mode, super duper hard content, you can run Leviathan. It does do a lot of damage. Sunderflame is also a nice set if you want to be a buff buddy and buff all of your stamina users. This set does pretty decent damage on itself, but with your fully charged heavy attacks, you do additional flame damage, and most importantly, reduce the enemy's physical resistance by 3,500 for 8 seconds. So if you have somebody wearing that, especially a heavy attack magicka stamina DK build, and somebody wearing Night Mother's Gaze, I recommend running at least 5 stamina users then, and you will do a ton of damage in the trial. However, 5 stamina users, usually in trial, it's not very optimal. For the substitutes for the monster set, Stormfist is very strong. It adds stamina recovery, and when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create a Thunder Fist to crush enemies dealing shock damage. Of course, it's not the strongest, but if you read further down, it does 10k final physical damage once the fist closes. It does have an 8-second cooldown. However, it is also a very strong set. And lastly, you can also wear Veladreth, weapon damage, and 20% chance when dealing damage to create these spores that do a lot of disease damage as well. So that's a very strong set, but Krogs is definitely best in slot, especially in Trials. Again, we're running 3-piece Vicious Ophidian on the jewelry, all weapon damage enchanted. It's very strong. Minor Slayer on stamina class is almost a must-have. If you don't have this, you can use Alkosh, or if you don't have Alkosh, you can also use Agility. However, I do recommend using Vicious Ophidian for sure. Our weapons on our front bar is a Maelstrom one-handed axe and a Maelstrom one-handed dagger. And on our back bar, we're using the Maelstrom sharpened bow. Both of our front bar weapons are also sharpened. We do need a lot more penetration on our stamina classes, so make sure you get sharpened. Now, a lot of people ask, if you don't have Maelstrom weapons, what would you use? I wouldn't play stamina if I didn't have Maelstrom weapons, honestly, because without Maelstrom weapons, stamina DPS is very low in Trials and PvE. The only thing that I would do without Maelstrom weapons is Maelstrom itself. In Maelstrom, I would use Hundings and Vicious Ophidian on the body. So I would run Hundings here, a Maelstrom bow here, Hundings maybe here somewhere, and 2 Vicious Ophidian and Vicious Ophidian jewelry. But in Trials, if you don't have Maelstrom weapons, don't play Stam. Just go with magicka or tank or heal, whatever else you want to do. Getting into the skills. Our first skill on our main bar is Venomous Claw. This is one of the strongest dots in the game. It deals 4635 poison damage and additional 16.4k poison damage over 10 seconds, with the damage increasing by 12% every 2 seconds. So by the 10th second of this dot, you're doing a ton of damage per tick. It's really, really strong. Rearming Trap, one of the best dots for stamina users. It also buffs all of our abilities damage by giving us Minor Force, which increases critical damage by 12%. Remember, dots do crit as well, so all of your dots are going to be critting harder. Our next skill is Steel Tornado. Only use this in AoE, of course, when you have 3 or more adds. Single target or long boss fights. I would swap this out for Deadly Cloak. Deadly Cloak is also amazing because it does reduce the damage you take from AoE attacks by 20%. So in hard mode Maw of Lorcage, this is almost a must-have. In hard mode Etherean Archive, this is almost a must-have, so make sure you use that for those fights. However, on Trash and AoE, definitely use Steel Tornado. Our next skill is Rending Slashes. This also can be empowered by the Maelstrom weapons as well as Venomous Claw. So we already have 3 empowered dots on our front bar, being Venomous Claw, Rearming Trap, and Rending Slashes. And lastly is Rapid Strikes, our main spammable, and what we use to buff all of these dots. Our front bar ulti is Flawless Dawnbreaker. We only use this for the weapon damage increase passive. This actually gives us 8% more weapon damage, 5% from Flawless Dawnbreaker, as you read at the bottom, and also from the passive in Fighter's Guild ability, which is right here, if I can find it. There it is. Slayer increases weapon damage by 3% for each Fighter's Guild ability slotted. So just for slotting you get 3%, and for the passive itself you get 5%. Let's go over to the back bar. This definitely shouldn't be here. And this first skill is debatable. Sometimes I use Igneous Shield when I need a small shield. You can even use Bone Shield if you really want. Another skill that can go here is Vigor. And when I do Maw of Lorcage, as you saw me have chains on a stand DK, it's possible to chain on the second boss, so I do sometimes chain on that. But usually you'll see me run Vigor on this slot. Our next skill is Noxious Breath. I don't keep this up 100% of the time. I only keep it up during AoE fights. Or what I would do with this skill is I would cast it and bar swap, so it doesn't take a lot of time out of my rotation. So I'm doing my rotation, I do Hail, Poison Inject, bar swap right after I hit the button for Noxious Breath, so it doesn't take any time. So you can use it that way as well. It is a DPS increase. Our next skill is Razor Caltrops. This is a really strong AoE, pretty good dot. Stamina DKs can keep it up 100% of the time, so use it every 3rd rotation to keep it up. Our next skill is Endless Hail. Again, this is one of the strongest dots because of the Maelstrom Bow, so keep this up 100% of the time. And lastly, Poison Injection. Again, when empowered, it's worth using 100% of the time, so do keep that up as well. Our main ultimate is Standard of Might. It's absolutely strong. Definitely the best ultimate to use on a Dragonknight. Remember, it lasts 17 seconds, so it's best used in long boss fights or adds or fights which are going to be up for over 17 seconds. If it's not up the whole duration, you are losing damage, so might as well drop a Dawnbreaker, which is empowered. So that's it for the skills. Let's go over the CP. We have 100 in Warlord to reduce the stamina cost, 87 into Mooncalf, 100 Mighty, 44 Thaumaturge, 43 Precise Strikes. And again, the red tree is very, very debatable and situational. This is what I had when I was running Veteran Maw of Lorcage, 100 LE Defender, 35 Hardy, and 30 into spell shield, but usually what I would do with this CP, just to be safe in pretty much all the content that you run, I would set up my champion points as follows. I would put 89 elemental defender, 15 into thick skinned, 73 into hardy, and the rest of the points I would put into quick recovery, just to get a little bit of extra healing. So that's pretty safe CP layout. You can use that pretty much on anything you want. So let's go over the rotation for the stamina decay. We use a pot to start, buff with deadly cloak. As we're running to the boss, we throw our caltrops into place, charge up a heavy. As soon as we get there, heavy goes off. We start with rapid strikes, trap, swap bars, hail, poison injection, and then that bar swap animation cancel of noxious breath. Almost takes no time. Then rapid strikes, venomous claw, rapid strikes, rending slashes. Now we applied all of our dots. We can use our standard, and all of the dots are empowered by a standard now. And then we start the rotation. Rapid strikes, trap, hail, poison injection, noxious breath, bar swap animation cancel, rapid strikes, and then as soon as you see your deadly cloak down, we recast it. Venomous claw, rapid strikes, rending slashes, and so on and so forth. The deadly cloak we apply as soon as you see it go down. It basically needs to be applied every other rotation. And then caltrops we also apply whenever you see it go down. So you see it down now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish my rending slashes. I'm going to do rapid strikes, trap, hail, poison injection again. And instead of using noxious breath this time, again, it's not as strong as that. It's not too important to keep up. We throw caltrops, then bar swap, so we don't lose time on our rotation. You see deadly cloak go down, you recast it, and then continue with the rotation. Deadly cloak in big damage AoE situations does help you out a lot. Reducing AoE damage is really, really important in hard mode fights. So do keep that up. And again, it's a pretty nice damage ability as well. It does about 3k in single target fights. So do keep that up as much as you can in single target fights. Now Dawnbreaker when the boss gets low is okay to use. Usually I would save up for a standard, but if you're not going to get a standard up before the boss dies, obviously do hit a Dawnbreaker and make sure you're empowered with rapid strikes before you use it. That's pretty much it for the rotation. The stamina decay rotation is very, very easy. It's literally just a rotation of the same skills over and over and over. If you can get it down, it does a ton of damage, single target, and it's really, really smooth. I really like this rotation. So just to conclude this video, we covered pretty much everything. Remember, stamina decays are one of the strongest builds in PVE DPS right now. Now again, survivability on stamina characters is not as great as on magicka characters. However, if you can survive, if you can sustain in long, hard boss fights, stamina decays are going to deal a lot of single target damage. They do have the highest single target damage in the game right now. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, if this helped you out, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Bye bye.